I disliked Tony from the day I met him. I don't know what my sister saw in that nut. When Tiffany first brought him over our parents' house for dinner, Tony drank too much wine and embarrassed everyone. My sister said her boyfriend was grieving the loss of his best friend, but I could tell something was wrong in his head. Not one to hold my tongue, I let them both know I felt they were wrong for one another. My parents asked me to stifle my negativity. Still, I could tell something had changed after their first vacation together. The next several times I saw my sister, Tony was nowhere to be found. I heard through the grapevine she caught him buying flowers for his ex, but a few weeks later, Tiffany was madly in love again, and Tony's behavior became more volatile. After he took her car without asking and didn't answer his phone for an entire weekend, it was time for me to step in. I found his ex-girlfriend online and was honest with her. I explained the situation and asked if we could meet up to talk. To my amazement, she was more than willing. What didn't surprise me, though, was the things she had to say about Tony's past. He had a long history of mental illness and had been hospitalized by his family as a boy. His ex also added that Tony had recently spent the night outside her apartment, just sitting in the car. She called police, but they said there had been no crime committed. I told her if Tony belonged in a hospital, that I knew some people who could arrange for that to happen. She understood exactly what I meant, but she said she had recently been in contact with his family, and they were going to attempt another voluntary admission. I talked to my father about my conversation with Tony's ex. Dad said he needed some time to think things over, but while he was doing so, Tiffany called him one afternoon and gave him the news. Tony was back in the psych ward. I, for one, was relieved. I sincerely hoped he could get the help he needed to become a saner individual, but this carnival ride had one last twist before it was all over. After I filled my sister in on how Tony was using her car to still stalk his ex, she promised all further interactions with him would strictly pertain to him getting well. So I didn't understand why she quickly decided to pay him a visit, but she did, and for a long time, she regretted it. Tiffany said it was the calmest she had ever seen Tony. She reasoned his therapy must have been working wonders, and they even shared a lovely lunch together where the two exchanged a few laughs. But at the end of their visit, Tony had a parting gift for my sister. He handed her a thick binder stuffed with papers. He asked that she waited until she got home to start reading. Then they said their goodbyes. Tiffany called me that night and began our conversation with an apology. I asked what finally brought her to her senses. My sister started sharing the contents of what she'd read so far, and she was especially disturbed by it. It appeared Tony had begun writing a story, and the opening scenes eerily mirrored how he and Tiffany met, and their relationship up to that point. But coming to the part recounting their vacation, the story quickly deviated from reality. The main character in the story takes his girlfriend hostage on their trip. He drugs her and ties her up. As the girlfriend sobs and begs to be released, the man keeps elaborating on how he wants to take care of her forever, all while touching himself in a way that alluded to his obscene gratification. But that was as far as my sister could make it in the story. We passed the binder along to Tony's ex. She assured us she'd get it to his family. I never spoke to that woman again after that. That was years ago, and I'm not quite sure if this is related, but I got a weird message at work last week. I came back from lunch to a note stuck on my office door. It read that my brother-in-law called and said he was coming to town soon to visit. Tiffany has never been married.